Hare Krishna, thank you for joining. Today we're going to be in chapter 18. Normally we miss out the bank holidays, but just wanted to continue with this momentum. It's beautiful Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, and want to carry on with this. Let's do Radha Madhav. Jai Radha Madhava Jayo Kunj Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Jayo Kunj Bihari Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Jai Giravardhari Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Jai Giravardhari Shodhanandan Vraj Jana Ranjana Shodhanandan Vraj Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tirvanachari Jai Radha Madhava Jayo Kunj Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Jayo Kunj Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Agyan Timranasya Gyananjana Shalakya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Staptam Yena Bhutale Swam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuttapada Kamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatham Nitam Tam Sajim Sadvetam Savadutam Krishna Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deen Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kant Radha Kant Namastute Tapta Kanchan Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sutta Devi Pranmami Hari Priya Vancha Kalpatavrihascha Kirpa Sindhavevacha Patitana Pavanebhyo Vaishnavyo Namo Nama Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pasthaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhaktivedanta Swami iti namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Parcharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jayo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Gaur Bhakt Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Mukham Kroti Vachalam Pangum Langyate Grim Yatir Yatkripatam Vandashi Gurundin Taranam Paramananda Madam Shishtaneshram Hariyam Tassat Narayan Namaskritya Naram Cheva Naruttamam Devim Sasvidasam Tato Jamaduriyat Nastap Shabdishnitavak Shabdatutunstaki Bhaktir Bhavati Nestiki. Okay, Hare Krishna. Thank you for joining. It's like the doctor's orders, you must take this medicine in the morning. So really want to take it in the morning, satisfy the rest of the day, keeps you enthused, keeps you spiritualized. So, just thought, instead of lazing around, let's do Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. And there's no such thing as a holiday in Krishna's house. Imagine if Krishna took a holiday, what would happen? Well, the material world is still existing. Fair enough, and doesn't exist, then he pulls back on this, but spiritual world is still going like that. So there's something always going on. Every day is a festival in Krishna's house. So anyway, let's just go through what we're discussing in this chapter. Right. Okay. So this is excuse me a minute. Okay, right. Prishit cursed by a Brahman boy. Chapter 18. So really soon we're getting into introducing Sukadeva Goswami and Maharaj Parikshit, and then they will start reciting Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. So verses 1 to 10 in this, there's 50 verses. 1 to 10, Maharaj Parikshit's birth, death and dealings with Kali are discussed. So 1 to 3, birth, consciousness, surrender and death. And in 4, Glories, death, dedication to the Lord's topics and constant remembrance of Krishna. 5 to 6, Kali could not flourish in Parikshit's rule, as we've been discussing. 7, Parikshit saw the good quality in Kali. And 8 to 10, Kali's ineffectiveness to the devotees and importance of Hari Katha. And then 11 to 17, we are eagerness of sages to hear Krishna Katha. 11 to 12, broken down, fire sacrifice verses, Sharvanam. So in the Kali, the Sharvanam is more important. 13, 14, power of association and hearing Hari Katha. 15, qualities of speaker and qualities of hearer and the quality of the subject matter. 16 to 17, no satiation or in Sharvanam. Continue describing about Parikshit. So the sages, they want to hear more and more. 18 to 19, so 1823, Sutta expresses humility and glorifies Krishna. So 18 to 19, power of holy name and Vaishnav Seva. 2022, unparalleled position of Lord. Attachment to him leads to detachment from body. 23, I will describe the Lord's pastime as per my realization. And then 24 to 31, Parikshit becomes angry at Shamika Rishi for improper reception. So being fatigued due to thirst and felt neglected by Shamika Rishi, Parikshit garlands him with a dead snake, and that's what caused all the problems. His son gets angry and so on. So 32 to 50, inexperienced Shringi, that's the son of Shamika Rishi, curses Shamika Rishi, regrets and prays for him. So, and it was because of Shringi cursing Maharaj Parikshit, from that time it was the downfall of the Brahmanical community. They could no longer be trusted to do the right thing. 33 to 35 is going to be like Shringi's proud words. And then 36 to 37, Shringi curses Maharaj Parikshit. 38 to 40, Shringi approaches his father. 41 to 42, Shamika Rishi regrets for the curse. 43 to 45, results of abolishing monarch. And 46 to 50, Shamika Rishi prays for his son, qualities of a devotee. So that's what this chapter entails, or the essence of this chapter. So let's begin with verse 1. Sutta Uvacha Yo vai droniyastra viplushto namatu udare mritaha anugraha bhagavataha Krishna syadbhut karmanaha. So Sutta Uvacha, Sri Sutta Goswami said, Ya, one who way certainly Droni Astra, by the weapon of the son of Dron, Plushtha, burnt by Na never Matuhu of the mother Udare in the womb, Mritaha met his death, Anugrahat by the mercy, Bhagavata of the personality Godhead, Krishnasya Krishna Adbhut Karmanaha who acts wonderfully. Sri Suta Goswami said, due to the mercy of the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, who acts wonderfully, Maharaj Parikshit, thou struck by the weapon of the son of Dron in his mother's womb, could not be burnt. So we're going back to while Maharaj Parikshit was still in the womb of his mother Uttara. The sages of Naimishranya became struck with wonder after hearing about the wonderful administration of Maharaj Parikshit, especially in reference to his punishing the personal Kali and making him completely unable to do any harm within the kingdom. Suta Goswami was equally anxious to describe Maharaj Parikshit's wonderful birth and death. And this verse is stated by Suta Goswami to increase the interest of the sages of Naimishranya. So they like the quality of Maharaj Parikshit. So Suta Goswami goes back just to tell them what happened. Actually, you think this is great, but listen to this. What happened while he was still in the womb? Krishna personally went and saved him, like that, So his birth and his death both are described in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. How he was born, how he came about, and what happened before his birth, and then the glorious death. He dies by hearing Bhagavatam at the same time. So that's why. So this sages, they wanted to know more of the extraordinary personality, of course. In text 2, Brahma kopi tat yastu takshakat pran viplavat na samyu mohoru bhayad bhagavati arpitasya. So Brahma kop, fury of a Brahman, utit, caused by Yaha, what was tu but taksh akat, by the snake bird, pran viplavat, from the dissolution of life, na never, samu moha, was overwhelmed, uru bhayat, great fear, bhagavati, onto the personality Godhead, arpit, surrendered, ashaya, consciousness. So furthermore, Maharaj Parikshit was always consciously surrendered to the personality Godhead, and therefore he was neither afraid nor overwhelmed by fear due to a snake bird, which was to bite him because of the fury of a Brahman boy. So Srila Prabhupada explains, a self-surrendered devotee of the Lord is called Narayan Prayan. Such a person is never afraid of any place or person, not even death. For him, nothing is as important as the Supreme Lord, and thus he gives equal importance to heaven and hell. He knows well that both heaven and hell are creations of the Lord, and similarly, life and death are different conditions of existence created by the Lord. But in all conditions and in all circumstances, remembrance of Narayan is essential. The Narayan Prayan practices this constantly. Maharaj Parikshit was such a pure devotee. He was wrongfully cursed by an inexperienced son of a Brahman. So this curse was pretty harsh, for the crime committed. You don't just execute someone to death just because they were a little bit angry and may have mocked his father, and it was in private. It's not that it was done in public. So he's your king. Look how much damage you'll do by killing the king, and look at all his great qualities that will be missing if he dies. So this Brahman boy, he was under the influence of Kali. So Kali is arranging all this. Kali is not happy that Maharaj Parikshit is obstructing his progress. And Maharaj Parikshit took this to be sent by Narayan. He knew that Narayan, Lord Krishna, had saved him when he was burnt in the womb of his mother. So he had saved him then, And if he were to be killed by a snake bite, it would be also take place because the will of the Lord. Now he wishes him to leave this material world, so that's okay as well. That's the wish of the Lord. He owes his life to the Lord anyway because he already saved him once. The devotee never goes against the will of the Lord. Anything sent by God is a blessing for the devotee. So whatever's happening is for a bigger cause. So he's taking that into account. Therefore, Maharaj Parikshit was neither afraid of nor bewildered by such things. That's the sign of a pure devotee of the Lord. So it's something for us to try to remember. We do panic in situations, but especially if you are a devotee, you're chanting, you're listening to Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. So Krishna, he takes note, he takes over your life, and whatever is happening, just have faith. Faith in it's all about the faith. Do we have faith in Krishna? That's the first thing. Everything starts with faith. So some notes here. We heard about Maharaj Parikshit's death. Now we hear about his birth. Now we hear about his death. When Krishna is the center of everything else takes place secondary position. When Krishna is not in the center, then birth, death, heaven, hell, all becomes prominent. When he's center, then we don't have to worry about birth, death, old age, disease, hell, or are we going to heaven, are we going to hell? Just leave it to Krishna, he decides. We are either excited or we feel fear most of the time. We are either happy or we are sad. Right? This duality of this material world. Because the activity is in the center, not Krishna himself. So when Krishna is in the center, everything is mangal, everything is auspicious. Otherwise, this is sad, this is good, this is bad, this is not, not so good, and happiness and distress, hot and cold. Krishna's in the center. Let him decide. When Krishna is in our lives, we know everything is connected to Krishna. Everything created by Krishna. For example, hell is created by Krishna as well. Heaven is created by Krishna. So if I go to hell, I'm still with Krishna. Because that's Krishna's energy. I go to heaven, I'm with Krishna. The environment becomes immaterial. Similarly, life and death. Taking birth in this world is glorious. Dying is glorious. Because Krishna is in the center. So what does it mean to keep Krishna in the center? What does it mean to be Krishna conscious? It means remembering Krishna. How much we remember Krishna decides how much Krishna conscious we are. Okay, there's a bit more, but I think we got the idea. So it's always remembering Krishna. So it's like even in the material world, if you have love for someone, you don't care. If this is like true love, you don't really care. Whether you're living in a mansion or a small hut, as long as the love is there, the attention is there from each other. Life is heaven. You could live in a mansion, in a palace. If there's no love, then even the palace, seems a ridiculous place. You want to run away from there. So it's all about the connection. So even material connection can do, have so much influence on you. Just think about if you have a connection with Krishna, nothing, doesn't matter if you're in hell or heaven, as long as your connection is there. So good Prahlad Maharaj, he was like punished by his father, but he kept his connection with Lord Narayan. It didn't really bother him, what happens, whether his father banishes him or kills him, whatever. He's got this connection that he kept Krishna in the center all the time. Okay. Utsrajya sarvatha sangam vignatajit samstitihi vyaskarjahu shishyo gangayam swam kalevram. So utsrajya, after leaving aside, sarvata, all around, sangam, association, vigyanta, being understood, ajit, one who's never conquered the personality Godhead. Obviously, nobody else can claim that. Samstiti, actual position. Vyas Sakhe, unto the son of Vyas. Jahu gave up Shishya as a disciple. Gangayam, on the bank of the Ganges. Swam, his own Kalevram, material body. So furthermore, after leaving all his associates, the king surrendered himself as a disciple to the son of Vyas, Sukadeva Goswami. And thus he was able to understand the exposition of the personal Godhead, and at last gave up his material body on the bank of the Ganges. So he was so, in that way, so fortunate. He could decide that I'm going to die hearing Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, I'm going to die on the bank of the Ganges, I'm going to die in association of Sukadeva Goswami and so many other exalted personalities. So in that way, he's so fortunate. I mean, how many of us can say that, we can decide how we're going to die? We don't know, how we're going to die. Could die in any way, because how you die is nothing to do with Krishna consciousness. Whether you die in a painful way, you die in a some crash or something. It's nothing to do with Krishna consciousness. It does not decide whether you were a great devotee or not. That not necessarily is connected to that factor. So the word Ajit is significant here. The personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, is known as Ajit or unconquerable, and he's so in every respect. No one can know his actual position. He is unconquerable by knowledge also. We have heard about his dham, or place, eternal Golok Vrindavan. But there are many scholars who interpret his disabode in different ways. But by the grace of spiritual master like Sukadeva Goswami, unto him the king gave himself up as a most humble disciple. One is able to understand the actual position of the Lord, his eternal abode, and his transcendental paraphernalia in that dham or abode. Knowing the transcendental position of the Lord and the transcendental method by which one can approach the transcendental dham, the king was confident about his ultimate destination. And by knowing this, he could leave aside everything material, even his own body, without any difficulty of attachment. So for a king, there's so many attachments, so many things. He's got his soldiers, he's got his kingdom, he's got his palace, he's got his family. A poor man might just have his family, that's it, got nothing else. King, he's got his crown, his position, his high chair, and he's got all his committee that he deals with. He has his well-wishers, people who will die for him, right? His commanders, and he's got his treasury, he's got his animals. Like we have tanks and planes. Those days they had horses and elephants that they used in battle. So there's so many. He could have so many attachments. He could have his best horse or his best elephant. Sometimes we love the animal more than we love the people, right? So he could have so many, but he knew that these were not important. These were temporary. Only Krishna is important. So even his body without any difficulty or attachment. So in the Bhagavad-Gita, it is stated, Param distva nivartate. One can give up all connection with material attachments when one is able to see the Param, or the supreme, or the superior quality of things. So the higher taste, right? So you give up the lower taste when you have Param. So from Param distva nivartate, higher taste, you give up the lower taste. From Bhagavad-Gita, we understand the quality of the Lord's energy that is superior to the material quality of energy. And by the grace of a bona fide spiritual master like Sukadeva Goswami, it is quite possible to know everything of the superior energy of the Lord, by which the Lord manifests his eternal name, quality, pastimes, paraphernalia, and variegatedness. Unless one thoroughly understands the superior eternal energy of the Lord, it is not possible to leave the material energy. We're so attached to the material energy, whether it's family, wife, children, or your bank balance. We're attached to it. In the time of death, we are thinking of one of these. You might think about your wife or children or your business, right? You'll be thinking about something or other, and it will be material for sure. However, one may theoretically speculate on the true nature of the absolute truth by the grace of Lord Krishna. Maharaj Parikshit was able to see the mercy of such a personality as Shukadeva Goswami, who came out of the blue, came out of nowhere, because everything was at short notice. And thus he was able to know the actual position of the unconquerable Lord. It is very difficult to find the Lord from the Vedic literatures, but it is very easy to know him by the mercy of a liberated devotee like Shukadeva Swami. We can't understand the Vedic literatures, scriptures we cannot understand. We need the mercy, somebody to explain to us, like Shukadeva Swami explained to Maharaj Parikshit. And like I said, he turned up at a very short notice. So Maharaj Parikshit just finds out he's got 7 days left. How much notice can he give? He straight away, he abandoned everything. Even the news came, Shamika Rishi, he came himself, that my son Shringi has just cursed you, Maharaj, to death. He did not say, oh, I'm going to kill you all, I'm going to kill you, I'm going to kill your son, kill all your family, how dare you, and I want you to reverse this. Maharaj Parikshit took it as a call from Narayan, that this is what I would like you to do now. This is your project now, or this is the time for you. So he just took it at God's will, and he accepted it. So, but like he got the message more or less very in the same day. So he didn't have much time. So he wanted to just abandon everything and go to the tat of the Ganges River and do his samadhi there. But then he was followed by so many. He's a king, he's the emperor. So he was followed by all the big devotees, the sages. They all turned up very quickly. Who was nearby. The news spread like wildfire, and whoever could make it, they quickly ran to where Maharaj Parikshit was, and they wanted to witness Maharaj Parikshit. They want to see him before he leaves. They want to see him, what happens, in the next 7 days. They want to see everything. This is like a very important scene that must be processed, must be seen. Okay, so this is 3. Let's go to 4. Anuttam shlok vartanam jashatam tat kathamritam syat sambaramo takalepi simritam tat padam bhujam. So before I just start this, the last shloka, Maharaj Parikshit, he was so confident, whatever Krishna decided, because he knows Krishna can never make a mistake. Whatever he's decided is the right thing. So never Uttam Shlok, the person of Godhead, of whom the Vedic hymns sing. Vartanam, of those who live on them. Jishpatam, of those who are engaged in. That his Katha Amritam, transcendental topics about him. Sayat, it so happens. Sambrahma, misconception. Ant, at the end. Kale, in time. Api, also. Simratam, remembering. Tat, his. Pada Ambujam, lotus feet. So this was because those who have dedicated their lives to the transcendental topics of the personality of Godhead, of whom the Vedic hymns sing, and who are constantly engaged in remembering the lotus feet of the Lord, do not run the risk of having misconceptions even at the last moment of their lives. That's the thing. They do not run the risk of having misconceptions if you are engaged in remembering the lotus feet of the Lord. 24/7, constantly engaged. The highest perfection of lives attained by remembering the transcendental nature of the Lord at the last moment of one's life. That's the highest. If you can remember the Lord last moment of your life, then you're successful. We have not been successful. We have not remembered the Lord probably ever in the previous lives, and never mind last moment. This perfection of life is made possible by one who has learned the actual transcendental nature of the Lord from the Vedic hymns sung by a liberated soul like Shukadeva Swami, someone in that line of disbelief succession. There is no gain in hearing the Vedic hymns from some mental speculator. It's pointless, wasted time. When the same is heard from an actual self-realized soul and is properly understood by service and submission, everything becomes transparently clear. Thus, a submissive disciple is able to live transcendently and continue to the end of life. By scientific adaptation, one is able to remember the Lord even at the end of life, when the power of remembrance is slackened due to derangement of bodily membranes. There's mucus everywhere, all the faculties are closing down one by one. Maybe just the mind may still be working till the hearing still working, just for that last moment before even all that closes down and the person leaves. So how are you going to remember Krishna? For a common man, it is very difficult to remember things as they are at the time of death, but by the grace of the Lord and his bona fide devotees, the spiritual masters, one can get this opportunity without difficulty, and it was done in the case of Maharaj Parikshit. He was surrounded by devotees, could make sure he remembers, even not that he would forget, but they made sure he would remember. And even when he leaves his body, they will chanting for him, for his soul. What more can one ask? You can chant for the soul even after a few days, after they've left their body. It all, every little helps in this case. So remembering Krishna at the last moment is the highest goal of life. We should be prepared. Pray that you can remember. Krishna gave Gajendra remembrance. Excuse me. Remembered his previous life. Gajendra remembered his previous life. Remembered the prayers, and he remembered the prayers quickly, and he used them when the crocodile had grabbed his leg. When we have the proper attitude of service and submission, we have the link to Srila Prabhupada. There is no stopping. Everything becomes transparently clear, and destination is also reached. So remembrance. So Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, these things should always be there. Always. Our Guru Maharaj has, on his Vyas Puja, he has written that you should chant all day long, even in your sleep, just chant. And maybe we can get 192 rounds done that way, like Haridas Thakur chanting 192 rounds, chanting in his sleep as well. Should always be chanting. So how can you forget Krishna if you're always chanting? Chant in your mind, simmer, simro, always in your mind. Even if you don't have you don't need rounds on your mala, you can still chant in your head all the time. Sort of, so many nonsense ideas come all through the day in your mind. Whenever nonsense ideas try to come in, just replace them with Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Just think about Krishna. You can't think all day. So many ways you can think all day about Krishna. Okay, and then finally, Tavat Kali na Prabhavet Pravishto Priya Sarvataha Yavadisho Mahan Obhyam Abhimanyav Ek Rat. So Tavat, so long, Kali, the person Kali na cannot, Prabhavat, flourish, Parvishita, entered in, api, even though, iha, here, sarvata, everywhere, yavat, as long as, isha, the Lord, mahan, great, urvayam, powerful, abhimanna, yabaha, the son of Abhimanyu, ekrat, oh, it's like ekrat, the one emperor. So as long as the great, or so I think it's Svarat, yeah. As long as the great, powerful son of Abhimanyu remains the emperor of the world, there is no chance that the person of Kali will flourish. Actually, the word I think I'm trying to find was Samrat. So Ekrat is Samrat. So he's also the emperor. So as we have already explained, the person of Kali had entered the jurisdiction of this earth long ago. And he was looking for an opportunity to spread his influence all over the world. So Kali is, he's very active. He's got a very good intelligence. He's trying to break into this market, and he's thinking, what's obstructing me? I have to find a way around this. What is stopping me? Really breaking into the market, all of it, not just a little bit, a bit here and a bit there. Like Maharaj Parikshit told him, you can stay here. He's fed up. He's bored just sitting in those areas. He wants to get out and spread his influence everywhere. It's not. He doesn't want that niche market that he's been given. He wants the whole market. Mainstream. He wants to go mainstream. So everything about in business terms, but he could not do so satisfactorily due to the presence of Maharaj Parikshit. That is a way of good government. The disturbing elements, like the person of Kali, will always try to extend their nefarious activities. But it's a duty of the able state to check them all, by all means. Although Maharaj Parikshit allotted places for the person of Kali, at the same time he gave no chance for the citizens to be swayed by the personality of Kali. So he says you can stay in these places, but he never allowed those places to even open up. So, how is he supposed to flourish? So that's the 5. Okay, there's not much to say on that. It's self-explanatory. And we have discussed this in detail before. Okay, we'll stop here. And it's a wonderful start to this chapter. I'd like to hear from you all. Kiran Prabhu, Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, everybody. Chapter 18, I believe we're on, and we are coming to the verge or the beginning of having this long-awaited discourse between Parikshit and the sages. And and as the sages assemble on the banks of the Ganga, and the conversation is concurrently relayed to the other sages by Sutta Goswami and Sukdev Goswami. The virtues of Parikshit are relayed. His virtues, even before he was born, whilst he was in his mother's womb, Uttara's womb, was conveyed as this was no ordinary character. This was one who was going to be central to the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, and hence the importance the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam and Parikshit are given to our understanding of the Vedas, and particularly this particular Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. And Sukdev Goswami happened to just turn up, because these are elevated souls who know where the portholes are, who know where all the entrance to places where even Doctor Who had a TARDIS where they suddenly turned up to different places. And so these elevated rishis and souls, by their mercy of Krishna and the boons that they were given were all assembled on the riverbank to hear the virtues of Parikshit and then to understand the implications of boons and curses. And yes, Parikshit was cursed by a Brahmin boy, Shimaka Rishi's son, Shringi, who cursed him with the most severe of all punishments, a punishment where he was indicated that he should die within 7 days by the bite of a snake bird. But because Krishna is so unconquerable, and because Parikshit had the ability to experience the learnings, the wisdom by Krishna's protection in the womb, that he was fearless. He was a bear. He was fearless in terms of what can happen to him. So he was totally committed to Narayan. And so there was no fear. And so whatever came, that's Krishna's will. It is his will. I'm surrendered to him, not one hand, both hands. And so it's his will. Let thy will be done. And so it came to pass that the sages had assembled and Parikshit was asking those pertinent 6 questions: why, what is the purpose, and so forth. And they will become abundantly clear as the progression of the Bhagavatam continues. Sukdev Goswami heard what Shimaka Rishi said, that, this was unforgivable. My son is a very unlearned Brahmin. He is still a Sudra in Brahmin's clothing in a particular way, if you think of it. Not very educated, but still lacking in a thing which is pertinent to all of us, a bit of common sense. The crime or the curse that was given was far beyond the crime. The punishment was far too excessive. At the end of life, we have to remember Krishna, and we can't risk not remembering Krishna. And so Parikshit's life demonstrates to us that, at the end of our pariksha, because parikshit means examiner, and that examination will come to us at the end of the day when the big, large lady stops singing. And so that examination will come to us, and so we have to remember Krishna at the time of death. Kali has been around. She's been around in Duryodhana as well. And so Kali had made her entrance in a grand way in the Kali Yuga. But she was around at different yugas, but in a less pernicious and ways. But now Kali was very, very out and very blatant. And you can see Kali's ways very, very in your face. And it is what it is. And we have to deal with Kali, and we have to deal with our own demons, and we have to remember Krishna all the time. And hence that's Parikshit's little start. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Yeah, absolutely. Deal with Kali. We have to deal with our karma, our unlimited desires. We have so much to deal with. Seriously, we are like think, well, so much baggage we have. We're better off where we were before, isn't it? In this case. But anyway, let's continue. Okay. Praveen Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, then what pranam? That's very nice verses again, reading about the glorious life. And now Parikshit Maharaj is preparing for his death. Although already having darshan of the Lord, he's not thinking, yes, I know, I've seen Krishna, so I know. But he's still utilizing his last 7 days in hearing the Bhagavatam. So again, the importance of Bhagavatam, we should understand how important it is. And we see how a devotee gets divine protection. He was protected in his mother's womb. And I like the word, there's not, Narayan Parayana, how to remember the Lord in all circumstances, how important it is. And then the other Sanskrit was Param Drishtva Nivartate. That helps to give up all our material attachments, because without giving up material attachments, we cannot be Krishna centered. So we are distracted by all these desires. So the only way is to be Krishna conscious, remember Krishna in all circumstances, and accept whatever comes our way is the will of the Lord, and be satisfied and be content. And also in Bhagavad-Gita, Krishna says, Antkale chamame swanmuktva kaleparam. So we know what is our ultimate goal is to remember Krishna at the time of death, so we can go back to him. So we need regular spiritual practice to prepare for that final day. And devotees like yourself are helping us to keep showing us the road, which is the road to follow. So we are very, very grateful, Prabhuji. And what else? Yeah. And the other thing, Maharaj Parikshit, he was very lucky that he knew we don't know when our time will be up. So we just have to utilize every moment in Krishna consciousness, because we don't know when our time will be up. And how Maharaj Parikshit, as long as he was there, he did not let Kali spread. That also shows again, the strength and power of a good leader, and that's what we need. And I could not join Friday, and not Friday, Wednesday, sorry. No, yesterday, sorry, even in the morning japa. And Pundrikaksh Prabhu, he shared a letter that they read yesterday. It was the letter written by Srila Prabhupada to the president, explaining the situation, so I'm going to find the reply of the president, because Srila Prabhupada explaining about the Kali, how things are and what we need to do. So it will be interesting to see what the president did. And I was thinking Srila Prabhupada's name, Abhay, and yes, Srila Prabhupada was Abhay, and how he managed to do, build 108 temples in 10 years. And so it shows the importance of the name as well. So naming your children, you have to name them right, And then again, Krishna is not different from his name. So name is very, very important. So we know that divine name is very important. Yeah, so we just have to remember Krishna, and we just need mercy of the Lord. And as again, I will also spiritual master, how important it is. Only a spiritual master can show you the path and make you understand the Lord's what is eternal, and so tad vidhi pranipate. So how we have to approach a spiritual master to understand, because he has realized the truth. So thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Yeah, Lord Chaitanya, Krishna himself, Lord Ram, they always had spiritual masters, to show us the importance of spiritual master. Thank you, Mataji. And then Maharaj Parikshit, end of life, he got Shukadeva Swami as his spiritual master to finish off.
Can I just say a couple of words? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Dhanva pranams to everyone.
Thank you.
I think there are a couple of things that remained in my brain after hearing these verses that you read. The first is that Parikshit Maharaj was very fortunate. He had early warning. If you have a warning of something, event coming, you can prepare for it. And so he was able to prepare for his departure from this material world and focus on the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. We're not fortunate enough to have early one. We could be going in the next second, in the next hour, in the next day. So we have to be always prepared. Like a soldier, always got to be prepared for war. You don't know when the war is going to start. So we have to be like that. And then the only preparation that we can do to prepare for that war is to keep ourselves fit. And we keep ourselves fit by chanting the mantra regularly. We're not as elevated as Parikshit Maharaj, that he got the vision of the Lord when he was in the womb. and he was guided by the Lord because he was a great emperor, and he was very righteous, and we have to try and live our lives in that model that he set, that example that he set. There was something else, but my brain is failing me now. I don't know. I think I'll have to stop there. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, thank you so much, Prabhu. Absolutely right. Yeah, we, uh, do what chance do we have? We, uh, he was blessed. Like I said, it was good fortune that he had the opportunity and he accepted it. He accepted his fate as well. I mean, somebody told us because 7 days to live, we might not even accept it. And and sometimes people do find out that you got this, you got cancer or something, you got a month to live, but we think about the material things. Oh, I've got to, I have to do this, I have to do that, and but we don't always think, oh, I have to listen to Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, or get association of devotees. But Maharaj Parikshit, yeah, he was very fortunate to get all that. He got association, he got association with Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, and he was in the right place at the right time. So yeah, definitely,
Probably the third point's come back to my mind now.
Sure.
Pure devotee can never get enough of Krishna's name and pastimes and so on. It's like sort of a thirst or a hunger that is never satisfied. And that was the case with Maharaj Pariksit. I mean, when we want to go somewhere, like we're going on holiday, we spend so much time preparing for it. But he was going on his, leaving this material plane, and he immediately discharged all his duties and severed all his material connections in order to focus on being able to hear the holy name. And that was his priority. And we don't seem to get our priorities right, and we tend to take in too much time, if you like, trying to tidy up our affairs. So again, that's another great example that when the chips are down, we have to be prepared to act very, very quickly. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, absolutely. Always be prepared. I mean, I say, always be prepared to give class. Always be prepared to do kirtan. Should mentally we should always be prepared. We don't know, like when it comes to the program, what to expect. Always be prepared mentally. We should always be prepared for everything. And then why not be prepared for death as well, which is most important time for us. If you got any chance of going back home, back to Godhead. Thank you so much, Kishore Prabhu. Ajay?
Yes, Hare Krishna. Yes, it's Maharaj Parikshit's very much. He's spent his entire life dedicated in terms of not in terms of examining everything, in terms of finding Krishna, but he is dedicated to the service of Krishna. It is such kind of a juxtaposition where you understand. But if you are a devotee, better yet a pure devotee, you can deal with the disturbing aspects of Kali Yuga. That's the problem with Kali Yuga, is that people of Kali Yuga are naturally disturbed. They have so many issues that they can't focus on what's the true goal of life, because they struggle with the material things. They're so obsessed with material things that when they actually have to deal with a serious situation, they don't know how to deal with it. It's too much for them. And that's why you end up in society where people just completely break down. It can be now. People say, well, everything, if this has happened, it must be a serious situation. But if you can understand the temporariness of this material life, you can understand actually what you need to focus on, then you don't obsess so much about the things that you can't control as such, the things that will, it's like the example's always given that, you can't, your money, family, possession, you'll leave that all here. You can't take that with you as such. But that's what the obsession is all about. That's where Maharaj Pariksit is such a great example in terms of understanding, okay, yeah, this part's over now, and it's time for me to focus in on my devotional service, focus in, go heading, and that's where the great fortune is also that when you have taken shelter of Krishna, then he'll send the right people to help you as well. In this case, not only all the sages assemble because thanks to the Lord's mercy via Paramatma, they also he also got the association of Shukadeva Goswami, and that's not only for his benefit, it's for our benefit as well. We are reading Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam thousands of years later, and that's because of Krishna's mercy. He wanted to make sure that the fallen of Kali Yuga get an opportunity as well to go back. If you look at it that way, then all of a sudden, whatever issue you do come across, and we will all have our own issues, we all have something to deal with, and nobody goes through life having nothing to deal with whatsoever. Then if you understand in this way, then you understand the science of Godhead, as we call it, then it becomes a lot easier to deal with whatever situation you deal with. It still hurts, but if you actually understand what the primary goal is, you actually understand why these things can happen and often do happen. It doesn't hurt you so much. You are better equipped to deal with it. That way, it's not that you don't get upset if somebody, you lose a loved one or you are suffering yourself through illness. But you understand, when you take shelter of the Lord, you understand that whatever suffering I have is perhaps due to past misdeeds, or even maybe Krishna just wants you to get closer to him. He wants you to let go of your whatever material attachments you have and take his shelter. So that's actually a benediction in that sense. It's a benediction in both senses, actually. Might not feel like it, but it actually is a benediction. And then if you take everything to be the benediction of Krishna, then you suddenly realize, actually, I am blessed, whatever situation is, good, seemingly good or bad. It is the mercy of the Lord. You take everything to be the mercy of the Lord, then you can really progress in your bhakti, because ultimately your aim is just to please Krishna then. That's the whole point of spiritual life, is to please Krishna. Please Krishna, please his devotees, following instructions of Guru, Sadhu, Shastra. Everything goes a lot more straightforward as opposed to your own speculation. And then that's where you get confused, because it is speculation. You might get it right sometimes, but often you'll get it wrong, because it's always very much experimenting in that sense. You're trying to figure out what actually works. But you've been given an opportunity to follow a method that does work, has worked for many others before. And we just need to follow and just apply it as appropriate for us. Some things might be slightly different in terms of technical details. The ultimate goal remains the same, and we just need to just follow the process and just keep carrying with our bhakti. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, thanks so much. Yes, focus is very important, and we learned in the last chapter that don't point fingers. You point one, and 3 fingers will point back at you. And this is in the OV as well. Dinabandhu Prabhu explained, yes, try not to judge people like Dharma. He didn't judge Kali. He says, whatever my suffering is my karma, and could be any reason, any number of reasons. So I'm not going to say it's total blame of Kali or why is punishing me. So if we can avoid that, I think we can really focus on our bhakti, because we do spend most of our time trying to fault find in people, and it's never our fault, it's somebody else's fault. So we can avoid all that. That would really help us concentrate on the objective, the goal that we want to achieve, rather than just get back. What's the difference between being in the mundane society or spiritual society? We're doing the same mentality, we keep the same mentality. We've got to change that mentality, and then it's really up to us. Krishna has given us independence. Do we want to attract crows end of life, or do we want to attract the swans? They're really up to us. Do we want to attract the sages to come into our lives, or mundane people? It's all given to us. It's really up to us how we want to lead this life. So thank you so much. Radharani?
Hare Krishna, everyone. My pranams to all of you on Good Friday. It's a very important day in the Christian calendar also. Like they say, Jesus, the Son of God, he gave up his life for the true cause, which was for the upliftment of the people. And here in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, every verse is telling us how important it is to use the life, the time given by us from the Lord as humans is so important. We should always remember that, very popular song, "It's Now or Never." That should be etched in our minds. There's so many things which, everything we can use in the service of Krishna, even the quotes, the misfortunes, the bad times, good times, bad times, not very nice times, illness, happiness, everything can be used in service of Krishna. We just have to be switched on. That's the only thing is required from us. And the Paramatma is very receptive in our hearts. If we are switched on to the wrong desires, he provides for that as well. And if we are attentive to the purpose, the higher purpose of this life, and we are in tune with what Krishna wants from us, then that is also provided to us. It's up to us what we want. And we have to be a very self-surrendered devotee in life. We have to remember that Lord is revealed by his devotees only, those who have realized Lord, those who have tasted that high taste can only give us the taste. It's not going to come by itself. So association is very important. You can't become like, Nirjan Bhajana, you can't do the Nirjan Bhajan. You can't do the solitary bhajan. We are not that elevated yet. The ones who can do the Nirjan Bhajan are the ones, I think, who can do 192 rounds per day, and we are nowhere near. So yeah, we have to remember that everything has to be employed in the service of Krishna and not employed in the service of our desires, our little petty desires. If you think in the big scheme of things, our desires are nothing. They're just puny. They're just hardly anything. But to us they seem big, and we just most of the time we are just wasting our time in the pursuit of these small desires which don't mean anything, because the life just goes by like this. A moment ago you are a child, then you are into youth, then you are just slowly inching away towards your final times on this planet. So what's the point? So yeah, we have to remember from these verses that yes, our final warnings, whichever way they come from the Lord, they have to be for the service of Lord, like Parikshit Maharaj did, and not like thinking that, oh, I should get this from my bucket list now, this I have to do, get done this. No. Use it in the service of Lord, because that is going to help you in your final moments. Otherwise you'll have to waste another life or maybe lives going through these crazy little desires created by our mind, created by our own whims and fancies. We don't want that. Just keep telling your mind, like, I don't want that. I have wasted enough in your service. Now let me help you, help me, and I also help you to use the rest of this life in the service of the Lord. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. You're wonderful. Thank you all so much for very, very nice realizations and understanding. And we want to continue this on Monday. So look forward to that. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Premanand, Hari Hari Bol. Have a wonderful weekend. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.